Welcome to Sex and Care Cafe number 10. My name is Bartleby Ross.
Yves Monique, welcome.
Today it's one of the great mythical, stigmatized subjects of sex, and that's masturbation.
Masturbation.
We love
masturbation.
And we think probably most of the population of the world does. But it still remains one of those subjects that very few people are very comfortable talking about.
Yeah.
Even amongst close friends, it seems like
nobody really talks about it unless I bring it up.
Yes.
And it's not a dinner topic again. Sex is just not a dinner easy topic even amongst very close friends or couples.
Yeah, I mean, we were looking. There was a Psychology Today article about masturbation that we were reading, and they had some statistics in there which indicate that the greater part of the population is masturbating or has masturbated or has recently masturbated in their survey. And then there was like a kind of a note underneath the statistics that said, well, these statistics are probably on the low side because even in an anonymous survey like they were doing, people still were not comfortable admitting that they masturbated.
Well, look what shame and guilt creates. That it's still hard to admit it to yourself in an anonymous survey.
Yeah.
At this day and age.
Right.
So what is so controversial about it?
Yeah, what is so controversial? I mean, when I look at when I first started masturbating, I was in English boys' school, and we were so enthusiastic as masturbators. It was kind of like it was a brotherhood.
Of masturbators?
Yeah. I mean, we would share all of our fantasies. We would bring magazines.
How old were you?
I think it was like 13.
Oh, yeah.
That kind of age, maybe 12. But we would like talk about it every day. It was probably one of the primary subjects.
And not a lot of adults around.
No.
So that creates an environment that is more normal, actually.
Yeah. And we were masturbating a lot. But it was very open. The conversation was open. The enthusiasm was open. And then something changed once, I think by the age of 18, when I started having more of a steady relationship with girls, maybe a little bit earlier, then it didn't seem like quite so appropriate to be talking about it. And there was definitely a stigma that my girlfriend should not know.
Because it's bad.
That somehow it was an affront to them. Somehow it was an insult that I needed. And I think this is something that continues in the mainstream with relationships.
Yeah. For me, I was in Holland when I was 12 years old. In school, we got an educational play around sex, and our homework was to masturbate. So I was really excited. Went home and had homework to masturbate, and that's when I had my first orgasm. And the next day, everybody came back from school and we talked about the homework, and that was my introduction to masturbation, which I felt it was a lifesaver through my teens. What happened is I felt permission to give myself orgasms from very young, and it gave me a not that out of control sexual drive as a teenager, because I took care of myself, and that was that. And so it took till about I was 18 or 19, I think almost 19, before I had my first sexual experience that is like intercourse. So because I could take care of myself, the drive was calmed down, and it actually helped me to be much more healthier around sex at that age.
That is an astonishingly liberated education system you must have had there. I've never heard of such a thing. That is quite remarkable, and something that I would love to see.
Yeah, for schools in America probably would be very wonderful, because it gave permission for same sex. It gave permission for education to to be careful about your sexual interactions, that they have a result, that you need to use condoms, that you need to feel good about it, that you have to give permission, that you have to, it was all put in the right perspective. And that is what's lacking in a lot of, for a lot of young people, because the parents are very uncomfortable discussing it, and then they go on their own and they go into the porn situation, and that is not a good example.
Yeah, let's just pick up a little bit on what is the primary feeling that surrounds the whole masturbation thing. It's guilt.
Yeah, and shame.
And guilt and shame. Absolutely, guilt and shame. And, you know, if the conversation is in place when you're a teenager, like in school and with your friends or whatever.
Or your parents.
Especially if it could be with your parents.
If there's never anything discussed around sexuality, that is, you know, what are you going to do? You're going to feel. And that you can carry that on again. You will carry that on through your lifetime.
Yes.
You know?
Right.
Unless you do something about it and you break out of that conditioning.
Yeah, right. I mean, in that article in the Psychology Today magazine, you know, one of the questions was, does masturbation in any way cause a myth, mental illness? Is it causing mental illness? And they're like, absolutely no. The only problem that surrounds it psychologically is guilt and shame.
Yeah, and that can cause a problem if you're not aware of that. That's what is hanging you up, or you feel really bad about it, you know, and you're kind of shove that away and you don't deal with yourself around masturbation.
Yeah. I mean, two things that, you know, we've talked about a little bit is around masturbation, and what's so natural in a way about it is, you know, as little kids, they just very openly and naturally masturbate.
Yeah, and it's not even that they're busy with it, they just touch themselves.
Yeah. Because
it feels good.
Yeah.
And then you get, no, don't do that.
Right.
And it's bad. And I think most of us people have that experience.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, and then the other very positive aspect is we come into our sexual life, like as teenagers, through masturbation before we have like a sexual encounter with.
Yeah, I'm convinced that if you don't know how to be sexual with yourself, there is not a good interaction even possible with another person, because you don't know what you like, you don't know what it feels like, you don't know your body, you know, you're not kind of, you know, familiar with anything around sex if you don't masturbate.
Right. So like learning to like tune in with yourself and give yourself pleasure and enjoy yourself sensually and sexually through masturbation, then allows you, when you come to be with a partner, to have that sensitivity, to have that feeling.
And also, it's just also like to let go into something and to let go of your mind, your emotions, just become this sexual feeling and allow that to happen. That's a great for masturbation, to learn that through masturbation, and to know what hangs you up in your masturbation. You can help yourself to get through that through masturbation, and then you can expand being with another person. Because how can you enjoy sex if you don't know how to make yourself come?
Yeah. So it's like a personal sexual experience actually, and the fulfilling personal sexual experience allows you then to have a fulfilling sexual experience with a partner.
Yes. And then also it's like, if you, sorry, I lost my track. Like it's like, and it doesn't mean either or.
Yes.
It's like, you know.
That's a good point, Eve.
It's like, you don't, because you masturbate and you have now a relationship, you can't masturbate. Or if you, it's like, you know, you have a car, and it doesn't take away that you can walk. You know, it's like that. You know, you take your car and you go walk when you want to walk. They're two different things.
Right.
The car takes you there faster, you know, and walking is also fine.
Yeah.
So both things can happen. And it's like, and then the other thing is like, it's like, why would you give up chocolate pie if you discovered apple pie? You know?
I like
It's like-
both. I like chocolate pie, and I like a little of each sometimes on the same plate.
Yes. And what about masturbating with your partner?
Well-
Nothing is so stimulating than watching your partner masturbate. I love that.
I love that.
It's all encompassing. It's
Yeah.
just things that you can do on your own together. It's like something that's important.
That is actually one of my favorite things, I have to say. I mean, in both sides. Again, it's like watching my partner masturbate and having her watch me is very thrilling sexual experience. And
Yeah.
by the way, if you haven't tried that, I would definitely recommend putting that on your wish list.
Yeah, and if you're starting a relationship, you have to get clear about what masturbation means to you. So and talk about that with your partner. Like if men like to masturbate to relax, maybe, and just and if that's what it means, why then it cannot create a problem.
Yes,
if you
'cause-
understand why the man is doing it.
Right.
It doesn't mean you're not giving him enough. You're not.
Yeah.
Just give each other some space.
Because some people do view that as infidelity, right?
Yeah.
It's almost like, you're being with another guy or another woman if you're masturbating. Well, let's talk a little bit about what's happening kind of in these kind of modern times where women have got a vast array, a universe of dildos and vibrators, and men now they have all these masturbation sleeves, the blow-up dolls, and now we're seeing a whole new array of these body parts, this special kind of like feels like flesh. You can buy an ass or a pussy with a famous porn star. It's like a whole thing is taken off in the industry to provide these kind of masturbators.
It's all to fulfill the fantasy that you can play out through masturbation, and there's nothing wrong with that. And it is a lot of people, I think, still have not the amount of sex that they want, or they can't find the right person to be with. I think in this world there is a lot of loneliness, and there's a lot of suffering around sexuality, and a lot of, because there's the repression, there's the shame, there's the guilt, and it has to go somewhere. And those tools are great for people to use.
Yeah.
To not, to give something to themselves, to have some exploration, and to have exploration on your own. But
right.
if it's
right.
Yeah, I think always it's good to have both. But I've had periods, like I think more than a year, that I had no partner, and I was very satisfied with masturbation and with going in my fantasies and exploring and giving myself the release that I needed and that I longed for, and I have no guilt and shame about that. It was a very, very helpful tool until the next person came along that matched up with what I needed in a relationship. And with the divorce rate, and women, if you in between partners, or if you older and you don't necessarily want to open up to a partner, just you use masturbation to open up to yourself, to keep your sexual energy going, to keep your sexual feelings going. It's the same thing. Have sex, stay young. Have sex with yourself, stay young.
Right. I mean, Betty Dodson, that 82-year-old, I think she is now. She's kind of one of America's most renowned sexologists.
She's fantastic.
Yeah, she is. She looks fantastic. I mean, and kind of her whole premise is, have sex, stay young. And, masturbation is a really big part of that. I mean, and she feels like in this day and age when, the whole pornification of kind of society has happened, she really wants people to stay in touch with themselves, self-realizing their sexuality through masturbation, so that they're very much in tune with themselves rather than trying to live up to some mythical porn star type sex that's kind of getting thrust upon people.
Yeah, because it's actually through the feeling inside of yourself that you can connect to another person and you can share that. And it's still, no matter what happens outside of yourself, you experience sexuality within. There ain't another place it's happening. So it is important to stay in touch with that and to keep practicing that, and don't get lost in just the view of something.
Yeah. And as we've talked about before, the whole act of sex, whether that's self-sex or whatever, it is a chemical, hormonal action and activation that happens throughout the entire body, which is very healthy. Orgasm turns out actually to be good for you and very healthy.
Yes.
So,
and I just say, find all different ways to keep yourself, and to keep giving yourself the orgasm that you want and need and have a right to.
All right. And on that note, thank you for being at the Sex and Care Cafe, and we'll talk to you next time.
Masturbation.
We love masturbation.
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 We love masturbation. Bye.